You choose a topic and you the respondents' perception on it. What is their idea or what is their attitude or their views on that particular topic. So, and then you're going to analyze that. And all of you are going to use a survey questionnaire, which will contain a number of survey questions. You're going to use that as a tool to collect your data. Of course, when you do research, if you read a lot, you'll find that there are many other ways of collecting data. You don't always have to use a survey questionnaire to collect data. But there are some advantages of using a survey questionnaire. Because of those advantages, you're going to use a survey question for this research. Can anyone tell me what are the advantages of using a survey questionnaire to collect data? There are actually advantages and disadvantages. Any idea?
Ma'am, you can collect more and more data.
Yes, you can collect a lot of data, right? I mean, you can distribute it to a lot of, respondents within a short span of time. Within a short period of time, you can collect lots of data from lots of respondents. So that is one of the advantages of using a survey questionnaire. There are other tools as well, like interviewing respondents is a tool, observation, note taking, recording. These are all different types of tools as well, or research methods that we use to collect data. But those can be time consuming as well. Because when you interview people, then you need to transcribe and then analyze. And transcribing data, recorded data, can take a long time. Sometimes observing something for a long time, ethnographic studies, where researchers actually observe the surroundings. They do it for a very long time, they note take. This can be time consuming. But when you use a survey questionnaire to collect data, you can do it just within a few days, actually. So, and especially if you're going to do it online, it will be done even fast. So that's one of the advantages of using a survey questionnaire to collect data. And since you need to complete this research within one semester, this is a most appropriate tool. Also, since this is a perception study, this is also an appropriate tool to collect data. All right. Now, there is some disadvantages of using a survey questionnaire. Any idea what that can be?
Ma'am, if the person who is doing the survey is not giving the proper information, maybe he is in some rush and giving the false information,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be a disadvantages.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, when you prepare your survey questionnaire, it will have a number of survey questions. You have to make sure that all the survey questions are clearly stated so that respondents don't have any problem understanding them. So make sure that there are no gaps. I mean, the survey questions should not overlap, and they should be clear to the respondent. So if they're not clearly prepared, it can lead to some confusion. And as you said that, yes, sometimes respondents may be in a rush. They may not even read the questions properly, and they may just randomly, just answer them. That's one of the disadvantages because, you are collecting data and your analysis is going to rely on what the respondents have said or how they have responded to the survey questions. So, if the respondents don't answer properly, if they don't answer in an honest way, then the analysis that you're going to do is not going to be reliable. It's not going to be valid. and all the effort that you had taken in collecting the data is not going to have much depth or meaning. So you can understand that is a huge drawback or one of the limitations of using a survey questionnaire. So I think that uh, probably all of you have some sort of experience in responding to a survey questionnaire. You all have that type of experience.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Even think about the evaluation form that you have to complete, towards the end of the semester. So ask yourself, do you always respond to it in an honest way or not?
Till now, I did.
Okay. What about the rest of you? Are you always honest? I mean, do you
Yes,
actually look
miss.
at the question very carefully or are you in a rush?
Yes, ma'am.
Carefully, miss.
Okay. Sometimes, yeah, I mean, we are in a rush and, sometimes when someone just asks you, you're sitting in a cafeteria or anywhere and someone comes to you to take part in the survey, you're not really in the mood. So you don't even look at the questions properly, but you just answer it randomly. So this can happen as well. So that's why normally when we use a survey questionnaire to collect data, we need lots and lots of respondents. In a real research, minimum 100 respondents is required because these respondents represent the total population based on the topic. So say out of those 100 respondents, say 10 of them or 20 of them don't respond in an honest manner, but say the remaining 80% or 90%, they do respond. And that is what you rely on. That's why when we use a survey questionnaire to collect data, we need lots of respondents. But of course, this research that you're going to do it's more like a practice session for you. You're just going to learn the basics of doing a research. So you don't need 100 respondents. Minimum 30 is enough. That's 30. All right. Okay, so let's go back to topic selection. Let me just read out some of the topics that have been done before, like the role of parents in choosing their children's career, a case study of urban parents. Right. Then women's perception of female smokers, or it can be men's perception of female smokers. Right. Let me just go through them, then I'll explain what you have to do. Okay, another one. Students or parents' perception on how CGPA matters on applying for a job. You can see they're not very complicated topics, but the main idea is that you're going to do the research in a very systematic manner. So it doesn't matter what type of topic you choose, can be a simple thing, but just going through that process of doing a research in a systematic manner is what you need to learn, or what you're going to learn. Okay, another topic, students' perception on the effects of tuition or a part-time job in student life. Another one is cuisines in Bangladesh and the choice between men and women. So this is like comparing men and women's choice of Bangladeshi cuisines. And when you have like two groups of participants like that, you can always compare their responses. Okay, another one like comparing Indian versus Bangladeshi movies or dramas. Okay, the effects of Indian shows on the population. All right, now, so I've read a number of topics. What you need to do is, whatever you choose, you need to narrow down as much as possible. If the topic is kind of broad, then you're going to lose focus. So the main idea is to, go through some steps and see how how much you can narrow down the topic. So if you have something broad, like I mentioned in the last one, the effects of Indian shows on the population. Now, you need to further narrow down topics like this. When I say Indian shows, which type of Indian show are you referring to? It can be like news channels, fashion shows, movies, dramas, children's programs. You need to narrow down, because if you like write Indian shows, it's a very broad term, and it's too broad. And whatever you're trying to, there's no focus area here. It's too broad. And when you ask the respondents questions, I mean, it's not going to have much depth in what you're going to analyze. So you need to narrow down, you need to be more specific, and then you can just mention any one show, the effects of Indian news channels on the population. Now, the population again is a very broad term. You need to narrow down as much as possible. Which population? Okay, so if your Indian shows were like drama, Indian drama, then on the population you need to narrow down as well. Who will be the population? Who will be the respondents? Is it men? Is it women? If you write people in general, it will be too vague and too broad. So you can narrow down. You can say older generation or younger generation. It can be just men or just women. So this way you'll have a clear focus point, and whatever data you collect will have much more depth and meaning, and your analysis will be more reliable as well. Right, so you can say the effects of Indian drama shows on the older generation. What is their perception of Indian drama shows? Okay, so again, if you want to do a topic like Indian versus Bangladeshi TV shows, you should narrow down, say, Indian versus Bangladeshi movies. What is people's perception on this? So when you say people in general, some topics, maybe the respondents can be people in general, but in other types of topics, maybe it's better to narrow down as much as possible. So when you choose your topic, you must think about the respondents at the same time. Who will be the respondents? Because you need appropriate respondents for that selected topic, right? Okay, another topic is the impacts of using excessive electronic gadgets among university students. Okay, maybe students' perception on this. All right. Now, a lot of students have done studies on social media, the effects of social media. I try to avoid that, please, because it's so common that there's no use doing it, actually. It's too common to work on social media effects on students' health or studies. It's just too common. So try to avoid that. All right. You can also do some controversial topics if you want to, because generation to generation perception, views change. So if you want to find out what is the younger generation's views or attitude or perception on a certain topic, then you can also do that. There's no problem in that. For example, I think my other students had done students' perception on living together before marriage in a Bangladeshi context. So that can be done because, of course, the older generation will probably have a negative view about this, but you may find that the younger generation, the views will be different. So you can try to find out that, right? Yeah, so you can choose anything like that. Okay, so when you choose your topics, please think about your respondents. Who will be your respondents? Will it be people in general? Will it be just students? Will it be male versus female? Will it be older generation versus younger generation? So this is very important. You can have one group of respondents, or you can have more than one group. You can have two groups. If you have two groups, you can actually compare the results. Okay. So think about that. Um, and also at the same time, think about what is your main objective in doing this research? What is it that you actually want to find out? So, and you can also think about some possible research questions. Research questions are usually broad in nature. We'll explain later on, and I will repeat again and again. There is actually a difference between survey questions and research questions. At this point, while you choose your topic, I want you to think about research questions, not survey questions. Research questions are kind of very broad in nature. The answer will be more descriptive, and you will only have to come up with like 3 or 4 or maximum 5 research questions. In fact, when you're going to write your research proposal, you have to include the research questions. After your research proposal has been approved, only then you're going to come up with a survey questionnaire. And survey questionnaire will have like minimum 10 survey questions. Survey questions are very specific and narrowed down, which you're going to, it will be like opinion based, more like, not like multiple choice, like you're going to have a specific survey question, and then you're going to provide some options, and the respondent will select any one of the option. So something similar to the evaluation form that you had done, but the option category is going to be different. I will give you a sample later on that. So survey questions are very specific and narrowed down, whereas research questions are very broad in nature, and you will only have like 4 or 5 research questions. So at this point, when you select your topic, think about some research questions. Research questions will help you to understand what you're looking for, or what is it that you really want to find out, right? So as I mentioned, that think about minimum like 3 selected topics, and number them according to your preference. So because sometimes students come up with research topics which are not quite researchable. It can be confusing, can be too broad, can be too vague. I mean, I can ask a lot of questions on it, and then when I ask that, the student isn't clear about what they actually plan to do. So this can happen. So I may not approve that research topic. So you should at least come up with 3 research topics and number them according to your preference. Under each of the topics, please mention who is going to be the respondents. What is the main aim? I mean, what is your objective? You can just write the main objective of what you want to find out, or you can put them in a research question form. It's up to you. But very briefly, I don't want anything in detail when you select your research topic. Just very briefly, under each of the topic, mention who the respondents are going to be, and what you plan to find out. What you plan to find out, or what you want to find out. You can put them in a question form, or just put it like, what is the main objective of doing this research? You can put it like that as well. All right. So if you cannot think of 3 different topics, then at least 2. If not 2, then just 1. But the problem is, if you just come up with one topic and I see that it's vague, it's too broad, it might be difficult for you to conduct this research, can be confusing, then I will reject it, and then you have to come up with something else, right? So at least 2 would do, so that I can choose. If I approve like both the topics, then you can actually choose any one, it's up to you. If I just select one, then you just work on that one topic. Okay, any questions?
Yes, miss. Miss, should we email you the research proposal?
Okay, no, Don't email me these things because it'll get lost in the mail. I'm going to create an assignment in the Google Classroom, in the classwork section for research topics, and you just submit it there, right? In the Google Classroom, in the classwork section.
Hello,
I'll do it today. Yes.
Miss. Sorry to interrupt. Miss, I had a question about the research topic.
Yeah.
Is there any specific focus of the topic you're trying to say, or it can be anything that I'm thinking about?
Some social aspect, okay?
Okay.
Something that you want to get respondents, because it should be some social aspect, something which is more up to date, something that you can actually work on. It can be related to the courses that you're taking in your department. If you're interested, like if you're a BBA student and you want to do something on marketing, things like you can do that. But choose a topic that you can handle, and you're going to get respondents because respondents need to be familiar with topic or have some idea, and you're asking them for their perception or their views, right? So
Mhm.
you need to think about who's going to be the respondent, right? So I already read a number of topics that had already been done by previous students. So you can just take some ideas from that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Please avoid, the topic on social media because it's too common and not worth doing actually. You can also choose topics, say, something that has been done in other countries but has not been looked into in a Bangladeshi context. So you can take ideas from there as well. When you choose a research topic, you shouldn't just do a research on anything that comes to your head. I think that
Miss,
if
does it
you
have
read
to
it,
be based on Bangladesh only?
well, you're doing it in a Bangladeshi context. It should be,
Okay.
right? The
Yeah.
respondent should be Bangladeshi, right? You can take ideas from research that has been conducted in other places around the world. You can take ideas from this. So for that, you actually need to read. So just don't jot down any random idea that comes to your head. You should actually read, go through some research papers, magazines, articles, journal articles, research articles, basically, and see what has been done and take some ideas from there and then come up with your own topic. All right. So in
Yes.
this course, you have to do a lot of reading because remember, this is not a literary course. It's not about literature. It's not about imagination. Whatever you're doing, it has to be factual or logical. The reason why we say scientific, when you do a research, we call it a scientific research. The main idea is to do it in a very systematic way that makes logical sense, right? So try to think of a topic that is worth doing. Think of something that you are actually interested in and you have some curiosity to find out respondents' views on that. Just don't do something that you're not that much interested in because that will be difficult for you because you need to read a lot. And if you don't have much interest, then you won't have that enthusiasm to read things, read articles and books on that topic. So choose a topic that you will find some sort of interest in and you have some sort of curiosity to find out. All right. Now, another way of choosing a topic is you can see what has been done by other students or by other researchers and see uh, what limitations they have. That means that what is it that they have missed out? It can be on the same topic, but see what they have not looked into, and you want to work on that. So the main idea of doing a research is to add something new to the existing literature. So what has not been done in previous research is what you want to do. So this way, your research will have significance and validity. All right? Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as I mentioned that when you select your topic, think about your respondents. Okay, another term that you should, something else you should do is, we all have some hypothesis. When we choose, topic that we want to work on, sometimes we already have some ideas about what we expect to find, right? So what does hypothesis mean?
An
Sometimes,
imaginary scenario of the expected result.
yeah. So it's our assumptions or idea of the expected results, you can say. So when you choose a topic and you come up with some research questions, you may also have some, ideas about the answers to those research questions. And that is basically what is hypothesis, that you can hypothesize what you expect to find. Now, the main idea of doing a research is, yes, we have some predictions of the results, we have some ideas, what we may find, but having ideas is actually not enough, is not valid, because they're just ideas. What you have to do is try to prove through systematic research, through a systematic way of conducting the research, collecting data and analyzing and looking into the results, you're going to see how much of your hypothesis matches your actual results or findings. So that's why it's important to hypothesize at the beginning and then see how much you can prove your hypothesis. So your research questions will be similar, will be related to the hypothesis. And when you write your research proposal, you will have a section called hypothesis where you're going to write down your expected result. And then by collecting data and analyzing your findings, then you'll see how much of it matches. So when you choose your topic, you may also have some predictions about what you expect to find. But having predictions, as I said, is not enough. Not unless something has been proven, can we actually accept it as truth, something truthful and valid. It has to be proved because we live in a scientific world now, and people can have so many ideas about so many things, but without doing research, without being able to prove its truthfulness, its value, you cannot accept it as something truthful or reliable, right? So that's the main idea of doing research. Anything, you can think about so many things in life. We always have predictions, we always hypothesize, but not unless it is proved by systematic research, you cannot accept it as a truthful idea. All right? So because this is the world that we live in anyway. So when you choose your topic, think about possible research questions, and you may have some hypothesis. You don't have to write the hypothesis in this or when you select your topic, but you can just keep it in your mind because when you write your research proposal, then you have to include that section. Okay. Now, another term that you should be familiar with is variables. Any idea what variables mean? When you do your research, you always have some variables.
Factors that affect the result.
Right. So factors that can affect the outcome or the results of the data that you have collected. So any factors, any entity that can have some sort of effect or some sort of effect on the final outcome or the results, those are called variables. So for example, like gender can be a variable because if you say that say females, women's perception of female smokers or men's perception of female smokers or men and women's perception. So here gender is, working as a variable because you are looking into their perception, and men and women's views can vary. So basically, it will affect your result. You will have two groups, and you can see the differences between, or younger generation versus older generation. That can also be a variable because when you look at those two groups, that can affect the results. Then educational background of the respondents, or
The social
uh,
status.
also, upbringing, like people growing up in Dhaka versus people growing up in other parts of Bangladesh, their views will differ. So I'm talking here about a perception study. Of course, there are other types of studies, but this is a perception study. So these can be variables, educational background, gender, upbringing, all these can be variables for your research, which will have some sort of impact on the outcome or the final results. Okay, so they are basically any type of measurement that can affect the results. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
So, any questions?
Ma'am,
Yes.
can I choose topic like students' perception on online education?
Yes, you can do that. That is a common topic as well, that has been done a lot during the last semesters. But, think a little bit more and see what you can select, you can come up with, all right? Can you all please submit by next class, that is Sunday?
Okay, ma'am, we'll try.
Miss, next
Yes,
class
ma'am.
is holiday.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a holiday, but if I can have it early, then I can check, and then give back yeah, the feedback. All right. Try to
Miss,
Yes, miss.
do we need to include the research questions or just the topics?
the topics, yeah, with a little bit of description, as I said, who will be your respondents and what you want to find out. So you can put that in just in like research objectives. You can write it like that, or you can put it in a research question form as well. What you plan to find out, right? And who will be your respondents. So I just need a little bit of description that will give me an idea as to what you plan to do. Because if it's just the title of your topic, then it may not be clear to me what you actually plan to find out, and there can be a lot of questions, right? So
Right,
just
miss.
description to make it clear to me as well as to yourself what you plan to find out. So you can type if you want to, or you can handwrite and then take a picture and post it in the Google Class.
Ma'am, how many word we will use for description?
Very brief, very brief. I don't want anything lengthy. You're not, I mean, at this stage, it's just the topic and a brief idea about what you plan to do. All right? Just within a few lines,
Okay,
nothing descriptive here.
Ma'am, do we
okay, ma'am.
need to follow any proper format for research proposal?
Yeah, for the research proposal, definitely. I will give you a sample for that later on. But this
Okay,
is
that's later one. Now we are
so,
not
yeah.
giving the research proposal.
No, no, this is not a research book. It's just the research yeah, topic selection. That's all, just topic selection. After I have approved everybody's topic, only then we can go to the next step, which is writing the research proposal. And of course, I have to explain to you what is a research proposal, what is important. I'll show you a sample, and you're going to follow exactly that format, just a two-page research proposal. You'll follow the same structure of that sample, right? That is the second step. First step is an appropriate research topic selection. Because if your topic is not appropriate, if it's if there's a lot of confusion in it or it's not clear, then your topic will be rejected. I won't accept it, and then you won't be able to do the research. You have to come up with another topic. So first step is to choose an appropriate research topic, right? That has to be approved. Only then we can go to the next step, that is writing a research proposal. Clear, everyone?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so any questions? Any question?
No, ma'am.
So do you think you can all submit by Sunday? Because I think you have a few days.
Yes, miss, it's possible.
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
yes.
Yeah. Just, go through some other articles, magazines, go through some other research work, you can do it online and get ideas. Then, choose an appropriate topic. It shouldn't be just randomly done, and try to do something, find limitations from other research and then take it from there. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about the essay, because in this course we're going to do two things, parallel. That is, we're going to work on the research paper, because as I said, there is a step-by-step process, and at the same time also going to talk about topics that will come for your mid-exam as well. All right, so we have one essay. So for this course, there's only one essay, that is argumentative essay. So I think that in the last class, I asked you that you had covered a number of essays in your 103, right?
Yes, miss.
So in this course, you're only going to write one essay, which is called argumentative essay. Sometimes it can also be termed as persuasive essay. So what is your idea about this type of essay?
Yeah, basically you choose one side and explain why you chose that. As far as I remember, I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, so argumentative. You have a topic, whatever the topic is, you will have your own viewpoint on it. I mean, any topic may have several viewpoints, but you have to make it very clear what is your viewpoint regarding that topic. And you have to provide supporting points to prove your viewpoint. And so that's basically the argumentative essay. Your viewpoint, whatever it is, you want to convince or persuade the audience into believing in that viewpoint. And to do that, you have to provide a lot of supporting arguments to convince the audience into believing in your viewpoint. Now, do you think that if you just provide a lot of supporting points, do you think that that's enough?
Yeah, I think so. You proved it, I guess, with the points.
Yeah, you do. I mean, supporting points, we call them like, yeah. I mean, you have, the explanation has to be logical, something which will be acceptable by people in general. So you have to provide a lot of supporting points to your viewpoint. But do you think that that is enough for this essay? If you just provide supporting points?
Maybe I'm not getting your question, miss. Not the supporting points are enough only. You also gotta add you also gotta choose a side, I guess. Either this or that, not the both.
Yeah, so basically for an argumentative essay, we give you a topic and it's like you can agree or disagree with it. That's the idea. So, but whatever you do, if you agree with that topic, then that's your viewpoint. If you disagree with it, that's also your viewpoint. For example, like, when if I say that pen and paper method of examination is very effective. Okay, it's a traditional method, pen and paper method is a very effective way of assessing students, students, educational, or what can you say? I'll find the word. To assess students' merit, you can say. So you can agree with this or you can disagree with it. So if you agree that yes, pen and paper method is actually a very good method of understanding students' merits, then that is your viewpoint. Or you can disagree with it. So whether you agree or disagree, that is your viewpoint. So you have to make it very clear in the introductory paragraph, and then the body paragraphs will support that viewpoint. You have to provide logical explanations, you can provide examples to prove your point. And the main idea is to convince the audience. Who are the audience actually? And I
The
say
readers.
the readers, yeah, the readers. So the idea is to try to convince the readers into believing in your viewpoint. So the supporting points must be strong and logical and acceptable. But I'm asking that, do you think that that is enough? If you write, like, you're going to write a 5 paragraph essay, introductory paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and a concluding paragraph. Now, in the introductory paragraph, you're going to state your main viewpoint, whether you agree or disagree with the topic. And then, do you think that all the 3 body paragraphs should all provide supporting points?
No, ma'am.
If you were to write an essay like that with all supporting points, what would happen?
There will not be any starting or finishing. There will be only like facts and points, like a report.
More like a report,
Yes, ma'am. Only facts.
only facts. Okay. If they are logically, if you can explain logically. Anyone else like to add?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
if we don't have enough knowledge about the topic, then what should we do?
Well, we will give you a topic that you will have some basic understanding, You'll have some,
You're
yeah. We're
you're
not going
saying
to,
that yeah, I need to give proper explanation and give good ideas, but I did some course for IELTS, ma'am, where they said that your idea is not important, your writing skills is important, and in this course, both are important.
well, yeah, argumentative essay, of course, is a little bit more challenging. Your idea is like it's based on your background reading and background knowledge, common sense. So we will give you topics which you will be able to write on your own based on your background knowledge and readings. So it won't be something very technical or something really complicated. It'll be something that you will be able to handle. All right.
Okay, miss. But
And
miss,
like the
can I
topic that
share?
which I mentioned.
Can I share one incident, ma'am? In my
Okay.
North South admission test, I got a topic from sports. But that time, actually I'm not a person who loves to watch sports. So that time I got blanked and just choose the another topic.
There were 2 topics, right?
Yeah.
Usually there are 2 topics. Yeah. So yeah, well, you have a choice there. So you worked on the other topic which you were able to write, right? So usually we do give topics that you can, you have some ideas and you can write about it. You need a little bit of thinking to do because you need to organize So when you write an essay, it's not only about the content, it's also about organization as well, and a use of language as well. So it all adds up. Okay, but say the topic that I just mentioned about the pen and paper method, whether it's uh, whether it's a good way of assessing students' merit or not. What is your view actually? Do you agree with it or do you disagree with it? And I'm sure that you can think of a number of things related to that. Whether you agree with it, you can think of it why. Whether you disagree, you can also think of a number of things, right? So these are the types of topics you will get. You can actually write on it. So what is your view anyway? Do you agree with it that it is? Um, do you think that pen and paper method is an effective way of assessing, finding out students' merits?
Yes, ma'am. In our country and context, it is effective.
Okay. And if you think a little bit harder, I'm sure that you can give more explanations or supporting views why you think so, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what about the rest of you? Do you all agree? I mean, you can also disagree with it.
Well, it sure isn't 100% effective, but it's sure 100% efficient.
Okay. So,
You can judge people without any, um, without saying, without having any proof, materialistic proof that what they are actually capable.
okay. So, any topic, I mean, actually, any topic, if you just think about it, has like, you can have many different viewpoints, right? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
there's no one viewpoint. You can argue about anything, even something which is very, very supportive, which you can put a lot of logical explanations, and majority of the people will agree with it. Even there, you can find flaws, and you can always look at it from a different angle. So, like a coin has two sides. So anything, it depends on your viewpoint. Consider a picture, like if you want to observe, analyze a painting done by an artist, depending on which angle you're looking at from, you can explain it in so many different ways, right? If you're directly staring at that painting, you'll have one type of observation. If you look at it from a corner angle, you may have another type of view, So each and everything that we happens in this world, or every topic, always has different viewpoints. So one viewpoint is not enough. The idea of writing this essay is to provide supporting points to whatever view you have, whether you agree with the topic or whether you disagree with it. Okay, now going back to that question, do you think that when you write your argumentative essay, if you provide three body paragraphs, if they all just provide supporting points, do you think that your essay will be a strong argumentative essay? Because as I mentioned, there can be different viewpoints. Other people may think of it in a different way.
Do we need to add a point that's against it just to balance it up?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. So just think about it. If you just provide supporting views throughout, what do you think it will be? What type of essay do you think it will be?
Descriptive essay?
It will be more like one-sided, more
Yes, ma'am.
just towards one, viewpoint, right? But that's not the way the world works. As I mentioned, that there's always, arguments for and against everything. So what you do, the structure that you are going to follow for your argumentative essay is provide two paragraphs would provide supporting views. Then the third body paragraph must give some counter arguments, that is opposing views. Few lines on that, but then it doesn't end there. There's another element that you need to add to the argumentative essay, which is called refutation. And this is a very important and very strong element to make your essay an effective argumentative essay. So refutation is when you provide your counter arguments, then you need to refute those arguments, those counter arguments, opposing views. Refutation means you need to find some flaws in that counter argument or opposing view. And finding flaws will allow you to prove that your viewpoint is actually much more significant and more logical than the opposing views. Because remember that the main aim and objective of writing an argumentative essay is to persuade or convince the audience into believing in your viewpoint. So you want to prove that your viewpoint is more logical, more important, more valid, or more significant than the opposing views. So you provide supporting views, but you must provide opposing views as well, a little bit, but then you must refute that opposing view. And by refuting, you are actually going back to your own viewpoint. You are strengthening your own viewpoint. And that is the main strength of your argumentative essay. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
So what about the rest of you?
Yes, miss, is clear.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so yeah,
Can
next week, I will, we'll talk more about the essay actually, and I will give you a sample. There is a sample in your book. We'll go through those, and I'll give you another handout on argumentative essay, and also the essay structure that you are going to follow. Then it will be much more clear to you. All right, so you have an idea about what is an argumentative essay and also the structure they're going to follow. So let me talk about the other elements of an essay, the main structure of an essay. So I mean, you have already done essays in 103. So you're going to write a 5-paragraph essay. In the introductory paragraph, what is it that you're going to write?
The thesis statement.
Right. So what is a thesis statement?
It's a subject with the attitude we have towards it, and some 3 points that we'll use as the topic sentences for the next 3 body paragraphs.
Okay. Right. So a thesis statement is very important. So in the introductory paragraph, you will have some opening lines, can be some general information related to the topic, and then you will have a thesis statement where your main viewpoint will be stated. And in that sentence, you can also provide some, you can basically break down your viewpoint into 3 components, and you can use that to write the topic sentences for your body paragraphs, so that it gives a clear idea to the readers as to what your essay is all about. Right. Now, where is the location of this thesis statement?
Last sentence of introduction.
Is the last sentence of the introductory paragraph, right? Right. So before that, you're going to give some general idea on the topic, and then in the thesis statement, you have to make it very clear what the whole essay is about. And for an argumentative essay, you need to make it very clear what is your viewpoint. So whatever topic you're going to get, you can give some background information in the opening lines, but in the thesis statement, you need to make it very clear what is your viewpoint, whether you agree with the topic or whether you disagree with the topic. So that's very, very important. You don't have to provide any clues about the counter argument, because the main idea of writing the essay is to convince the readers into believing into your viewpoint. So you should make it very clear in the thesis statement. Now, as I mentioned, any idea has different viewpoints, but when you write your thesis statement, only focus on what you believe, And don't write about both sides, the supporting view as well as the counter argument. Just state your viewpoint. Otherwise, it will seem a very confusing, right? Because there are actually different structures in writing an argumentative essay. Sometimes the main objective is not uh, to convince the audience into believing in the writer's viewpoint, but to give the readers a choice whether they can agree with the supporting views or they can agree with the opposing views. But that is not the structure that you're going to follow. You're going to follow the one that is more persuasive towards your viewpoint. All right? Yes.
Madam, what will we write in the conclusion?
Conclusion, you're just going to wrap up the whole essay. You can rephrase in the main points, but not to add any new ideas, right? No.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, are we supposed to discuss about like both the parties or both sides in the conclusion or only our side?
Only your side, only your main viewpoint, because
Okay, ma'am.
that's the one that you need to strengthen. Yeah. Only in the third body paragraph you provide the counter argument and the refutation. But in the conclusion, it is again about your viewpoint, not the counter argument. You don't highlight the counter argument in the concluding paragraph. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So in your book, don't have time, but just let me show you what you're going to do in the next class. Let me share. So we talked about thesis statement. How to write effective thesis statement. This is very important because sometimes you come up with a thesis statement, but it's not actually accurate. It's not effective. So how to write more effective thesis statements is what we are going to learn in the next class. So let me just share the screen, and I want you to actually. Okay, can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so this is page 7 of your book. Okay, we can talk about this general subject and limited subject. This is related, can be useful for your topic selection. Okay, yeah. And then here, this is. So here, the first few pages actually looks into how to write more effective thesis statements, how to make your thesis more effective for the essay. Okay, and lot of things have been written here, like what should be a thesis statement, what it should not be. So we're going to discuss that in the next class. Okay, so before that, let's go back. So general subject and limited subject. This is actually related to, as I mentioned, your topic selection for the research paper. Like whenever you choose a topic, you must always try to narrow down as much as possible. Because when you choose a very general and broad subject, what happens? What is your idea? If your topic is very general and very broad, what do you think will happen when you start writing the essay or when you even start doing a research?
You won't be able to give enough supporting sentences.
No, we won't be able to focus on any specific fact or topic.
Yeah. So if you have something general or broad, you won't have a main focus point. So whatever information you provide will be very broad, it will be vague, and it will lack depth. It will simply lack depth because you'll be providing little bit of this information, little bit of that, but there's no focus point. And so the paper will lack, reliability or value because it's just too broad and vague. But when you limit your subject, what happens? What if you limit your subject? What are you going? What will you be able to do?
We'll be able to write specifically about our ideas. We'll be able to convey our ideas more clearly.
More clearly, right? So when you have a limited subject, you'll be able to write more specifically, more in detail on that focused area. And when you have more detail in one small area, then your writing will have more depth and reliability. It will be more valid and more reliable. Okay, because just working on a small area, but with a lot of rich information, and that is what we do in, even when we write an essay or when we do a research, especially in research, we need to narrow down a topic as much as possible. Remember that you are just one researcher and you will have a limited time in doing your research. So you cannot choose something very broad. It should be something very limited where you'll have a clear focus point, and you can do a research on that and provide more valuable information in detail. All right? So that's the idea of limiting your subject as much as possible. If you can't limit the topic in one go, then just go like step by step. Here I'm going to show you an example. Here, like general subject and limited subject. Now, all these are general subjects. So when you choose your topic, make sure that it's not general like this. For example, education. Just think about education. It's a very broad and general term. Can you give me some ideas, anything that you can relate to education? Here, limited subject is given like talking about a professor, any professor. But you can think about many other areas related to education. Can you give me a few?
Like general education, polytechnical education, or home education, primary education, or university level education.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then maybe you can narrow down more from there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So education in different institutions. So yeah, you can see that these are very general and very broad subjects. So another general one is prejudice. You can break it down into interracial marriages, politics, which is so broad, people who don't vote. You can think of many other areas. Television, as I mentioned, a television show is a general idea as well. So you need to narrow down and think of what one type. Here is written commercials. Sports, also a very general, broad subject. You narrow down to one type, baseball salaries or anything. So this is what you do. So this is the first step of narrowing down. Then you can further narrow down. For example, the first one, Professor X. Now you want to write an essay, which general subject is education. Narrowing down is Professor X. Now you can further narrow down. Professor X, look here. There. Professor X is an incompetent teacher. Because when you want to write about your professor, which area are you going to write about? What aspect are you going to write? And then you can think about many, many things. And then you can narrow down further from there. So here it says Professor X is an incompetent teacher. So you will write about how he is an incompetent teacher. You will only focus on one area. Or you can write about Professor X is a classic absent-minded professor. So you just focus on why this professor is so absent-minded and focus on that. Then you can write Professor X's sarcasm antagonizes many students, or Professor X's colorful personality has become a campus legend. Professor X is better at lecturing than leading discussions, or Professor X's youthful good looks have created awkward problems in class. So you can see that you can actually narrow down further from this one narrowed down topic. And the same thing you can do with your research topic as well. Try to narrow down as much as possible, right? So next class, we're going to talk about writing effective thesis statements. And I will, if you all if you all can submit your research topics, we can also I can also check and return it back to you, and we'll move on to research proposal. All right, so in your book, please go through this, just first few pages. This is page 9 until poor and better than another one. Better and extended specific. So this is page 13. So page 9 to 13, just go through it and then we'll discuss this in the next class. All right?
Okay.
Page
Yes, ma'am.
13. Okay. So any questions?
Ma'am, what's the first thing that you find when you see an essay? Like when you take an essay, what is the thing that you look for?
Yeah, I look at the structure as well as the content and language. All right, so basically you'll be marked based on all those things. Now, if you have good language, but you haven't followed the structure properly, then you can lose marks. Say your content is okay, but the language is okay, but then you haven't followed the structure, you can lose marks. Then again, say someone who has some weaknesses in their expression, their language, but has followed the structure really well, they will get some extra marks for following the structure. Okay, so what I'm looking for is both the structure as well as the language and organization. Okay, the content as well.
Ma'am, what do you mean by the language?
Well, your
Like,
expression, you're using the English language, how you express yourselves. Okay, whether you have a lot of grammatical flaws or whether it's clearly stated, and then again, some students may have very simple language, but there's no grammatical flaws, whereas another person can be really good in the expression, no grammatical flaws, but also more, advanced in their expression. You can get more marks there. But as I said, if your language is good, but then you don't follow the structure, you can actually lose marks there. Okay, so I will look at both structure, organization, and language and content. Yes.
Madam, if I choose a topic that is the system of Bangla medium, the teaching system of Bangla medium, so is that broad?
I think that teaching system, you should narrow down further. Which teaching system are you talking about? I mean, which
Uh,
you should narrow down, okay?
Actually, yeah, I did research on that. So
You can take idea from there.
yeah,
Okay, just write it down and send it to me, all right?
oh, okay.
So I'm going to call out your attendance now. Everyone, please respond. Okay, so this is section 27. Khandakar Akhtar Hamid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anik Bishwas Joy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Marufa Jaman.
Present, miss.
Okay. Lovely Khatun.
Present, miss.
Okay. Mohammed Ashraful Haq. Mohammed Ashraful Haq. Zubair Ahmed.
Present, miss.
Okay. Abu Bakr Siddiq. Abu Bakr Siddiq. Mithila Farjana.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Abdul Qayyum.
Present, miss.
Okay. Tanav Ashif Jaman. Okay. Shabab Farooq.
Present, miss.
Rafi Rizwan,
Yes, ma'am.
Ibn Sina,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Taslima Jahan,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Ali Yusuf Alvi,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Abdul Mohaimin,
Present, ma'am.
Rapsa Ryan, Rapsa Ryan, okay. Abdullah Al Masud,
Present, miss.
okay. Jannatul Firdaus,
Miss Rapsara is present.
Present, ma'am.
okay. Then Mugdhamani,
Ma'am,
Present, ma'am.
Jannatul present.
Pallab Kishore Dotto, Pallab Kishore Dotto, Navid Naim, SK Navid Naim,
He is present, but maybe miss is ওর মাইক কাজ করছে না।
okay. Protasha Mahmud, and Mohammed Ridanul Haq, Mohammed Ridanul Haq, Trideep Rakshit, Trideep Rakshit,
Ma'am,
Sharaf
Protasha Mahmood present.
okay, please respond when I call. Okay, then Sharaf Anjum Prova,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Nasif Ali,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Kaji Sadi Ahmed,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Mohammed Ubaidul Haq, Mohammed Ubaidul Haq, okay. Jarin Anjum,
Present, miss.
okay. Faizan Mohammad Rahman,
Present,
Faizan,
miss.
okay. Sumaya Shahid,
Present, miss.
okay. Mohammed Shamin Ibn Amin,
Present, miss.
okay. Mohammed Farhan Ahmed,
Present, ma'am.
Farhan Ahmed, okay. Maruf Mahmood,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Ahmed present, ma'am.
okay. Samrin Alam,
Present, miss.
okay. Saad bin Rahman,
Present, miss.
Saad bin Rahman, Tehsina Haq,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Mohammed Mohaimur Rasul,
Present, ma'am.
and Said Mahmood. Said Amar.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to call out the names of those who did not respond very quickly. Okay. Mohammed Ashraful Haq, Abu Bakr Siddiq, then Pallab Kishore Datta, then Mohammed Ridaunul Haq, Trideep Rakshit, Mohammed Ubaidul Haq. Okay, that's it.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, so
This
thank
is
you,
SK Navid
everyone.
Naim and
মিস
hello.
Yeah, one.
মিস লাস্ট ক্লাসের অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা শো করছে না।
Can you remind me later? Then I'll just add it. Okay.
Hello, ma'am. This is
ওকে
SK
ম্যাম।
Navid Naim and you didn't announce my name.
Yeah, I already called, didn't I?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I did call. Maybe you missed it. Something.
Okay, sorry, ma'am. Can you give me attendance, please?
I think I've already given.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I'll see you again next Tuesday, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have sent you an email. Did you notice?
Yeah, I will check because we get so many emails. Okay. When you do email, please mention your section and course. Otherwise, I won't understand. All right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. You have a nice day.
Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too, ma'am. Bye bye.
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Welcome, Salam.